The ceremonial snapping of scissors is no doubt entertaining, but to see the real action that comes from opening a new Krispy Kreme shop, you've got to get up a few hours earlier.
3, 2, 1!
At 6 a.m. to be precise, when the signature hot donut sign is flipped on for the first time.
They're so delicious. Like just the way they melt in your mouth, the sugar. They're so good.
UNC sophomore Matthew Trexler is the first of more than 150 people coming to open the new Krispy Kreme shop in Chapel Hill.
As soon as I found out about it, like the first thing I did was just like yell out, enjoy it. I was so happy.
After years of shrinking stores across the country, the donut maker is expanding again.
Good morning! Welcome to Krispy Kreme's, everyone!
The Chapel Hill shop is one of several new Krispy Kreme locations in the Triangle, including Wake Forest and Knightdale.
They're sweet, and you can't stop at one.
Have you ever even tried?
No.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Good for the soul, huh?
Yes, yes.
I'm from up north. I live in New York, and everybody eats Dunkin' Donuts up there. The only Krispy Kremes around got closed down like 2 months after it opened.
It's those sorts of recollections that have largely defined Krispy Kreme since the middle part of the last decade. About half of the stores the company had during its peak 7 years ago ended up closing.
I would say, looking backwards, that they created a model that required a lot of capital, and the initial surge of demand in the stores justified it. You know, the crowds came, they'd never seen them before.
Krispy Kreme CEO Jim Morgan wasn't at the helm of the company during that rapid expansion and fall back to earth, but he studied those lessons closely.
We went from being a high flyer, and I'm not talking about the price of stock, I'm talking about just the way it felt to be here, to all of a sudden being a company that was troubled and had problems.
The company's stock fell from more than $50 a share to about $2, and it became the target of lawsuits from franchisees. Dr. Mike Lord of the Wake Forest University School of Business says the problem wasn't the donuts themselves, but the operations that surrounded them.
It's always been a great product, it's always been a great brand, but the business model has never quite worked so well as the product and the brand.
During that rapid expansion, making the product required large factory stores where the donuts were made on site and at a large cost.
In order to support that big donut machine that you've got in the store that can crank out so many donuts, you have to sell more than what you can sell in that store. And that means you have to have the convenience business and the grocery business. And you want the donuts hot, fresh, and now. In fact, that's their slogan. So when you're trying to sell them cold and old in convenience stores and in grocery stores, it really doesn't sell very well.
The large stores also put Krispy Kreme at a competitive disadvantage.
The demand was still there, but we had created an infrastructure that made it very difficult for it to be successful and profitable.
A typical Krispy Kreme was costing several times the cost of a Dunkin' Donuts, for example. So you could put a lot of little Dunkin' Donuts everywhere and get convenience coffee, convenience donut business, even if it's not as good a donut, but it was convenient.
As Krispy Kreme works to rebuild, combining quality with convenience and lower costs has been a big part of the plan.
2 dozen, Hot-Glazed.
The new batch of stores opening in the Triangle and in other states are half the size of the factory stores. As for the cost saving,
it's significant. We're able to do it in smaller square footage, less capital in the store itself, within the store, so less to get it open. Labor is much less, and the product waste is much less, and it makes it more convenient.
It's a hub and spoke approach. Krispy Kreme makes thousands of donuts in large factory shops like this one in Raleigh, then distributes them to smaller shops in more places, instead of building several large shops to meet the demand. The new Krispy Kreme stores, including the one here in Chapel Hill, have a new kind of oven technology inside that allow workers to put the world-famous hot glaze on the donuts on site.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro.
And to many Krispy Kreme connoisseurs, it's cause for celebration.
Hey, you want some donuts?
Instead of having to drive to one of the factory stores to get the hot donut experience, customers can now get it more conveniently.
Hot off the rack is really a different animal than one that's been in a box for a day or two. It's just a freshness, it melts in your mouth, it's sweet but not overpowering sweet.
Even visitors from other countries, like Liam Frank of Germany, are enjoying the new way of making hot donuts.
Really good. We don't have donuts in Germany, actually.
But that's not to say the Hot Now sign is non-existent internationally. While the American stores were struggling, Krispy Kreme's fortunes were rising overseas.
It was the sibling that carried the load for the rest of the family. The parents weren't doing too well. The other siblings were struggling. And then we had this strong part of our life, which was international, that allowed us to keep showing growth.
The company now operates more stores in the 19 foreign countries it serves than it does here in the U.S., in places like the United Kingdom, China, and beyond. The success of those shops gave Krispy Kreme time to turn around its American unit. The company has now posted profits for 2 straight quarters.
Since things cratered back in the 2004 period, they haven't really had a good period since then. It's been retrenching and restructuring. So this is actually a significant positive because it's not huge news, but it's consistent positive news.
And if the newly opened stores prove successful, the company expects donut lovers to find more Krispy Kremes across the country. Krispy Kreme is returning to some of the places it left a few years back, like Albuquerque and Philadelphia.
The opportunities, if we just pace ourselves, are extraordinary, and I would like to think that we've begun what could be many, many, many years of sustained growth, but measured growth with a lot of patience required to make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves.
Analysts like Mike Lord are also feeling more optimistic about Krispy Kreme these days, largely because of the new hub-and-spoke approach.
It's got a much better chance of success because it tries to solve one of the key problems, and that's that you have outlets that are too big and too expensive under the old model. Now you have a lot of little outlets, each one of which is a lot cheaper and is a lot more convenient.
The better part of 200 people filled Franklin Street for the first foray into Chapel Hill Krispy Kremes. It's that kind of devotion to the donuts his company sells that gives CEO Jim Morgan the most confidence.
When the guests walk in and you're there to greet them and welcome them, they're thanking you for reopening. So they're thanking you for allowing them to spend their money in your store. And it's just, the power of that is incredible.